Jaden, a video has dropped from Humane of late, who has the AI pin, sort of, and it was a pretty long video too. I think it was like, 19, 20 minutes or something like that, but it has gotten a ton of buzz, probably the most since the first one. And the first Humane pin video got a lot of like oohs and ahs, but then some people saying like, yeah, but what is it? How does it work into your life and all that kind of stuff? Anyway, I don't know if you saw it, what your thought is. It was a pretty cool video. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This is one of the first times I've watched a video demo this long. Was impressed with it. Initially, for people that have been following me for a while, I was kind of skeptical about Humane just because it didn't, I don't know. I kind of went back and forth on it. I will put myself back in the impressed camp right now. And the thing that I got to like take my hats off to Humane, and I said this on LinkedIn recently, is like they are one of the few companies taking a really big swing and going and doing AI and hardware.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Believe it or not, summer is just around the corner. Luckily, Armor All, America's most trusted auto appearance brand, has what your car needs to get that perfect summer shine. Plus, now through May 31st, we'll give you $5 for every $20 you spend on Armor All products. That means car wash pods, protectant, tire shine, you name it. Find out how to get your $5 rebate at armorall.com. Armor All, less work, more clean. Terms apply.
Not a lot of people are doing this, right? You have Rabbit, you have Apple that allegedly is going to put some stuff in to their iPhones. You have Google that's done some stuff, but like there's like a small handful of people doing this, and they've completely reinvented and made an entirely new product. So I have to give them a big kudos for not just doing the easy thing, which is like, everyone, like I heard people be like, well, couldn't you just make an iPhone app that does kind of stuff like this? And yeah, that's what everyone is doing. And they're completely reimagining how AI could be used in a world without an iPhone, what that would look like. So yeah, I got to give them a huge hats off, and I think that I'm excited to see what they come up with. What did you think of their demo?
Yeah, I thought the demo was great. Because I was already pretty impressed with Humane. I thought the AI pen was super cool. But this, I think, took it to another level because I think it really went into this is how you're going to live your life differently. And I think I think that kind of captured the attention of a lot of people. It sort of like also just showed cool things about how. And what they're saying is that this isn't supposed to, necessarily replace your iPhone, all that kind of stuff. Although, that's kind of debatable. I mean, it's expensive to have an iPhone and a Humane pin and all that AI pin. But at the same time, what I love about it, first, I love the big swing, like you said as well. But as I was watching this video, it's doing things like, oh, this can, help you create software. So you have just the pin, it's not just like hanging off your chest, but you also just have it next to your laptop and you're just talking into it in this really natural way. And people might say, well, isn't that what ChatGPT is? Yeah, but it's these small moments of friction that I think people are really underestimating. Like these are things that like really end up changing entire economies when you figure out ways of doing things with just slightly less friction. People say like, well, why do I need a Kindle on my phone? I already made the big jump from paper book to having this Kindle. It's like, yeah, but you already have your phone with you. You know what I mean? Like it's this change in behavior. And I think that they are really, first of all, I think their team is phenomenal. I think they're doing a lot of cool stuff with an operating system. They're already sort of partnering with huge companies in Asia around this. But I think the thing I was most impressed with on the video was just showing how you interact with it in ways that feel really, real and practical and ways that will actually, people are starting to get a sense of like, oh, this is what a post, doesn't have to be a post iPhone, but a post, app world looks like. A post taking on your phone, pressing something, opening to the right app, typing with your thumbs, all that kind of stuff. I know it feels weird, but that's why I was really encouraging people on LinkedIn, like, forget about like the little things like, well, that feels weird to me. That feels weird to me. And try to imagine what a future looks like. That's the stuff that I was really impressed with.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I will just want to quickly run through for people listening. Like, first off, I'll say, go check out Connor's post on this. Go check out my LinkedIn post on this and like watch the demo, see what they're doing. But I want to just quickly go through some of the use cases they brought up. Maybe we can talk about them because I think there's some interesting ones. The first one is recall. So you can ask it to remind you of something. You tap the pin and you're like, hey, what time is my flight to New York? I love this because when you talk about friction, Connor, like I have like a widget on my iPhone that is like a Google Calendar. And so it's like when I need to remember what time my flight is, I got to open my phone up. I got to go to my calendar. I got to click it. I got to make sure like I have all the, whatever. It's just like I'm sitting there clicking on my phone, going through a couple steps into a couple apps. Even with a widget, it's not all evidently clear. If I could just tap my chest and be like, hey, what time's my flight at? 2:45. Okay, perfect. Great. I'm on track for that. Just, it reminds you. Like, I think that's amazing. Then I think that recall feature, though, isn't actually tied into your calendar. I think that one, though, is you tell it something and you're like, hey, remember this. And so then it can remind you of it later. So that's an interesting feature. They have one where they're like, there's an ice cream shop in New York that, makes everything out of bananas. What is it? And it does like a search and it finds you the thing. So it's kind of like mixing AI and search, and it's cool. And again, I think it's just reducing friction, right? You just tap it, it goes. They have a feature where it's message search. So it's just like, hey, like this person sent me a message about this thing. Help me remember what they said about it. And it will like look through your messages, pull it up. Again, it's just all these things that I feel like really do reduce friction. Like, yes, I could go open my iPhone, click on iMessage, click on the conversation, click on the search bar, type in the keyword that I think might be related to the message that I'm looking for. But like, if I could just tap it and be like, hey, this person said this, can you find that? And it goes and finds it for me. Like, I just feel like this is so many things are reducing friction here.
Yeah. And so I love how you're talking about that, because when we think about what it replaces, so I do a lot of training with companies and things like that. And I'm always asking, like, one of the big sort of like moments I pause and ask like a big room is like, what do you think ChatGPT replaces? Right. And the answers are all over the place because it's an interesting question, right? You can, again, sort of like you could sort of say it replaces a lot of different things. But what I love about this Humane pin, when people say like, well, it can't really replace my iPhone. Yeah, but can it replace like, okay, got to be careful about how I phrase this. I don't mean like your spouse, but what I mean is like, how like, Jake,
I was gonna get married, but I got an AI Humane pin instead.
Character AI plus Humane.
Oh no,
happiness.
Terrible advice, Connor.
We are fortunate to be each married to extremely intelligent and accomplished women, and yet we are still burdening our spouses, Jaden, with, hey, remind me, what time are we supposed to blah blah blah, right? And I'm sure they're trying to do the same thing right back to us. But I have all these different systems by which I remember things, right? I have like Notion, and I have my Apple Notes, and I have like, I send a message to myself. That is ridiculous. If the only thing the AI pen does is remember things for you, and I can just say, hey, Delta Flight 137, today it's going to be Terminal 3. And I just sort of like have this button that I push, and it recalls that. That's phenomenal all by itself. We talk about reducing friction. Yes, we have the iPhone, we have ChatGPT, we have all these things. Apple doesn't have that, right? I mean, like it has like, yes, you can put it in notes, but then you actually have to search through all that kind of stuff. If it just does that, it will be absolutely revolutionary. And so that's why I love the use cases that you're talking about. For you, when you're thinking about something like that and you're thinking about, okay, so like, is this going to be a new device? Like when you think about like the underlying consequences of like what this means for how we interact with devices, what sort of comes to you, right? Like you're a founder, you're an AI startup guy. Like you have to think into the future a lot and all that kind of stuff. Like what for you is the big friction reducer that you're like, this is what people don't get yet? I know with AI bots, it's amazing because you're actually chaining together a lot of different things instead of saying like, I'm going to do this over here and this over here. And I've seen AI bots. It's phenomenal. You just put it in one thing and you're trying to do everything, which people wouldn't have imagined as possible. When you think about the Humane pin, how do you think about the friction that people don't even know they have yet,
Okay, so there's a couple things that I think that this does, and you got to visualize a person wearing this thing, and it's just like pinned onto your jacket or your shirt or your chest or whatever. I think this solves a bunch of problems. Number one, okay, this is honestly maybe the biggest value proposition they have, is that Apple's Siri is terrible. If Apple's Siri was amazing and they really nailed it and they were on top of the AI game, I hate to bag on Apple, but if they were really on top of their game, like, to be honest, this Humane pin would be harder. But right now, it's so bad, Siri's so bad, that this essentially is like a new voice assistant. That's amazing. And it's not just Siri I'm going to bag on. Google and Amazon, Alexa and Google's, Google, assistant or whatever. And all three of them were not adequately prepared for the AI revolution. And OpenAI out of the box's API tied into your like phone can do a better job than all three of them. So that should say something. But anyways, I think this Humane Pin serves the purpose of like really becoming your assistant in an amazing way where it can get access to all of your apps and all your data and all your stuff and just give you everything you need. Some people might not like that. Some people might like it more than being like, I don't know. There's just like, like people have distrust for like big tech companies. So I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are like, I don't want I don't want to give them permission, or Apple give them permission to look through all my stuff, but they're like, oh, but like Humane, I don't know. Maybe that's a use case or a problem it's solving. Really, I think number one, it's the perfect AI assistant. This is what all of those services should be. Number two, that a lot of people are not talking about, I think for a lot of people, think about like I don't know if you watch these on YouTube, but like I get these like videos that are like crazy car crashes or like crazy like things in traffic where something happened. And people have these like dash cams. I don't personally have a dash cam. I don't know who these people are that have them, but I like their videos. Sometimes they're crazy, right? You catch. I'm like, what are the odds they had a video that was recording that? I guess all Teslas have it, so that helps. But anyways, I think this is like that for people, right? Like now you have a camera or a video attached to you that is filming 24/7, almost like a GoPro. I don't think it actually is filming. I think you got to turn it on and off. I'm sure there'll be settings, and this is a future development that will go, right? But I imagine people would like the feature where this is always recording, and you can choose to play back stuff, kind of like the relay pendant, which I don't know whatever happened to that. I could imagine like someone create an app or something working like this. And you think of like, police officers that wear like a body cam. There's a lot of jobs where you'd want like a body cam or something like this. This to me feels like a much more, I don't know, less intrusive version of that. Like pretty sure police body cams, it's this huge thing strapped on your chest and you're walking around with a GoPro mounted there. This seems like a lot more non-intrusive. But I think there's a lot of really cool use cases and great things you might want to film. Maybe you're going on a walk with your kids. And I mean, I think about this all the time. And I'm like, they're doing something cute. And I'm like, hey, everyone, like, smile for a photo. And I got to pull my phone out. And half the time, by the time I get my phone out, like, the moment's passed. And now they're yelling and punching each other again and stuff. So, like, it would be kind of cool if I had this thing just on me that I just tap and I got a photo of the moment. Perfectly in the moment. Don't have to take on my phone. Don't have to look at anything. Captured. So, I don't know. I think there's some cool use cases there.
No, it's fantastic. It also kind of brings up the whole point about trust, which is that's exactly what some other people are worried about, right? Is that like, now they do have a trust light on there. It's like, but I think when people say, well, I don't want this thing filming everything, that ship has sailed to a certain extent. I think it's, we can always take out our iPhones and film things surreptitiously and stuff like that. So I think people will get used to that pretty quickly. But just the last thing on this is that I think the vision for what Humane is doing is actually the best part of all of this, which is they're trying to get you unattached to your phone. Like you walk around like it's just everybody's staring at their phone. Like what they're trying to do is get everybody's heads back up, back into the world, and only sort of like, dip back in and just this voice thing for what you actually need rather than a million notifications and everything like that. And to me, that's the most noble part of all this, but we'll see how they pull it off. But I think we're both at least pretty excited today about it.
Super excited. For anyone that learned anything new about Humane or is interested in this topic, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast, and give us a review. We really appreciate it, but we hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day.